Today I'm going to be reading you The Creakers by Tom Fletcher because it's a really good book which I really love. So if you don't already know this book, it's about a girl and she finds out one day that her parents are gone and can you see those monsters right there? Well, they're the one who took their parents. So let's get right into this. There's so many pages. The night it all began. Chapter 1. The night it all began. The sun disappeared behind the pointed steel huts on the rooftops of Whiffington town, like a hungry black dog swallowing a ball of flames. A thick, eerie darkness fell like no other night Whiffington had ever known. The moon itself barely had enough barely had enough courage. A thick, eerie darkness fell like no other night Whiffington had ever known. The moon itself barely had enough courage to peek round the clouds, as though it knew that tonight something strange was going to happen. Mothers and fathers throughout Whiffington tucked their children into bed, unaware that this would be the last bedtime story, the last goodnight kiss, the last time they switched off the light. Chapter 1. The day it all began. Let's start on the day it all began. On the day it all began, Lucy Dunstan woke up. Right, well, that's the start, but it's not very exciting, is it? Let's try again. On the day it all began, Lucy Dunstan woke up to a rather unusual sound. Okay, that's a little better. Let's see what happens next. It was the sound of the alarm clock ringing in her mum's bedroom. Well, it's got a bit boring then, hasn't it? Let's try that bit one more time. It was the sound of the alarm clock ringing in her mum's bedroom because Lucy's mum wasn't there to switch it on. You see, Lucy was about to find that out. while she was asleep in the night, her mum had disappeared. Oh my gosh. I know. Imagine waking up to find out your mum had disappeared in the night. It gives me creepy tingles every time I tell this story. I bet you're thinking this is going to be the best scary story ever. I can't wait to read it and tell all my friends that I'm really brave because I wasn't even one bit scared. Yeah. Even though you were totally scared all the way through, well, this is only just the beginning. Wait until you read it. Read what happens later when the creatures come out. I know. If it gets scary, comment below, please. Let me know if you get scared because I am. Back in the day it all began. Lucy climbed out of bed, slipped on a fluffy blue dressing gown and walked across her creaky floorboard, which were warm from the morning sunlight creeping in from the curtains. Would you like to know what Lucy looked like? Of course you would. Here's a picture. As you can see, she had shorter hair than most girls. Here she is. And it was as brown as mud or chocolate. And even though Lucy liked it to be short, her mum insisted she keep a fringe. It stops you looking like a boy, her mum would say. This was before she disappeared. Of course, this really wound Lucy up, as her fringe always seemed to flop into her eyes, meaning she constantly had to lick her hands, lick it over to one side just so she could see. Her eyes, once the fringe was out of the way, were greeny brown or perhaps browny green. You know what I mean. Or wait, that rhymes. Okay, well. Either way, they were a bit green and a bit brown. You could say there was nothing particular remarkable about Lucy at all. And it's true. She was no different from any other child in Withington, which is another way of saying she was quite remarkable indeed. Anyway, more about that later. Mom, Lucy called, padding across the landing towards her mum's bedroom. But of course you already know, there was no reply because her mum was gone. Lucy's heart started beating fast in her chest. as she gently opened the bedroom door and stuck her head inside. Mrs. Dunstan's book was still on the bedside table, a bookmark poking out with her reading glasses perched on top. Her empty cocoa cup with a yellow polka dot pattern sat beside it. Her slippers were neatly... Her slippers were neatly positioned on the floor. It was all as it usually was, except for the piercing ringing of the alarm clock and the spooky empty bed. Lucy stopped the alarm clock and ran to check the bathroom. Empty bath, empty shower, empty loo. Although Lucy would have been very surprised to find her mum hiding in there. She ran downstairs. Empty kitchen, empty living room, empty everywhere. Mum! Mum! She called, a note of panic rising in her voice and her heart leaping like a frog in her chest. She was beginning to get an awful feeling that something terrible might have happened. And it was a feeling that Lucy already knew. You see, the really creepy thing was that this wasn't the first time it happened to Lucy Dunstan. A few months ago, it happened. Her dad had vanished too. Unbelievable, right? Lucy's mum had been devastated. Must have run off with another woman. Lucy had heard one of the other mums whispering in the school playground. What cheating, rotten man, another had said, shaking her head. But Lucy didn't think her dad was rotten at all. She couldn't believe he would run off without saying goodbye to her, without leaving a note, without saying where he was going, without finishing the half-eaten chocolate hobnob and barely sipped a cup of tea she'd found on his bedside table the next morning. So on this morning, on the day it all began, Lucy had the strangest feeling that somehow this was all connected. That something weird was going on. Lucy ran down the hallway, snatched the phone from the little woody table and dialed her mum's mobile number, which she knew of by heart for emergencies, like every sensible 11-year-old should. But as her mum's phone started ringing, Lucy saw it flashing on the arm on the sofa. Lucy ended the call and hung her head in defeat. Feet, shoes, her mum's shoes. She ran to the front door, a pair of cozy flat slip-ons. With flower-shaped sparkly bits were sealed on the mat exactly where her mum kicked them off every night and where she'd slip them. She slipped back into them before leaving the house each day. Surely her mum wouldn't have left the house without her shoes, would she? Lucy's heart sank. This all seemed far too familiar. On the day her father disappeared, one of the strangest things was that his favourite chunky black boots with the yellow laces with which he wore every single day were still sitting by the front door, like he never left, just like her mum's shoes. Lucy knew there was the only one thing for it. She was going to have to call the police. That's good. She never done that before, and her heart was pounding like a drum in her chest. Drum in her chest. As she pressed the number 9 3 times with a shaky, nervous finger. Now what do you suppose happened next? If you think a police officer answered the phone and said, "It's okay, Lucy, we found your mum and we'll bring her home right away. We'll even pick up some breakfast for you too. What would you like?" Then you'd be very wrong indeed. And she'd probably never write a book. What actually happened was possibly the worst thing Lucy could think of. Nothing. Nothing. Like, why nothing? The phone just rang and rang and rang and carried on ringing until Lucy hung up. Since when do the police not answer the phone? Lucy said to herself, her voice sounding unusually loud in an empty house. A little voice in her head told her the answer. When something spooky is going on, Lucy pulled open the front door and stepped out into the stinking morning air. It was quite normal for the air to be stinky outside the Johnston family's house. It smelled like a mixture of bum gas with a hint of mature sock cheese and had a sharp afterscent of freshly brewed cabbage. It wasn't the house. Listen. It was It wasn't the house that smelled. It was a truck parked in the driveway. It was one of those chunky, clunky, nostril-stinging rubbish collector things. Rubbish collecting. Trucks that trundle around. Trundle around. Town with those jolly looking grubby people in grimy with overalls collecting everyone's water rubbish bags. Lucy's dad had been one of those jolly looking grubby rubbish collecting people. He was a bin man for Whiffington Town, where he'd lived. Where he used to live. Where he used to live before he disappeared. Since he vanished, his truck had been parked in the driveway, stinking out the whole street. Of course, Mrs. Dunstan had tried to sell the truck, but no one wanted a stinky old thing like that. Even Whiffington Scrap Metal said that the pong was too strong for them to crush it. And so there it says, on Lucy's driveway, if you ever find yourself behind one of these trucks, take a little sniff, just a little one, and you'll know what Lucy Dunstan house smelled like. The end. Bye.